And welcome to Space Oddities, episode 7, where we're going to talk about sweet UAPs. So we've decided that there's enough meat in the news about UAPs that we should probably actually talk about it. And since there's honestly, it just seems to be a lot of just traction all over social media, all over the regular media about these UAP events, and we wanted to talk about them, break them down, play with them a little bit, throw them around, see what we can figure out ourselves. Uh, so without oh man, I don't know how you put up with me. I can't stop brain farting. With uh, as always, here's my side bit, Mr. Ben K,
Hello.
and oh wow, I'm so scatterbrained.
It's the drones.
Yeah, it's a psyops, right? They're hitting me with the psionic weapons. But anyhow, but either way, we have a pretty good episode for you guys. You know, we got a couple of videos we're going to watch tonight. We're going to go ahead and discuss uh, what I found. I don't know if you know about any of the other ones, Ben, but I found that well, obviously the New Jersey ones, because that's everywhere right now. It's on social media, that's on the mainstream media, but then there's got you got a UAP sighting in Arizona, one in Florida, my home state, and then there seemed to have been one that flew over Rendlesham, and then there was one you brought to my attention this evening about a flight control recording, a flight controller recording, um, calling out a UAP on the west coast in Oregon. So we got a pretty, we got a mixed batch here. So we should just get into it, huh? So did you hear about the Arizona one? This is probably the about as it got me about as excited as the Jersey one. So
No, I saw headlines, but I don't have any of the details from the Arizona case. So tell us
yeah.
about it.
All right. So basically, some people caught some lights, orbs, that look like something metallic with a bunch of light, and there's a lot of camera articles, double lights and stuff like that from the layered of some type of like either GoPro or something with a cover on it or something like that, or some type of case cover or something like that. So you got a lot of extra kind of BS going on, and for the first time, I thought that uh, Mr. Hypersonic Seagull actually did a halfway decent job at analyzing a video on this one. Uh, but I didn't agree with everything he said, like usual. But he was right a lot of the lighting and the articles and in the video. It still remains a little bit anonymous, but it just didn't grab me as a like clear cut shot. But I think it was probably one of the better of the videos that we're going to see tonight, at least for something that's obviously videotaped through what was that, TikTok on a cell phone. So kudos to modern technology on this one. Have you seen that one at all? You said you weren't aware of this one.
We'll see when you roll it. Maybe I have.
All right, let me go ahead and screen share this one, and let me see what the name of that tab
I,
is.
I've probably watched like 1,000 UAP, I'm air quotes UAP videos in the last week.
All right, can
All
you see
right.
that? All right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and start playing that.
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna mute that because that's oof, yeah. I'll have to. Well, good thing we're not monetized. But so what they're doing is they're filming these lights here, And you'll notice that there's a light that it reappears and it disappears up here. If you notice, every single light in the entire video has that same light. So that's actually a camera article. So that's like you can just ignore that light completely.
Mm-hmm.
But they scan around and they keep looking, and they're freaking out. And honestly, the emotional stress in their voice for the super professional unprofessional person that I am at voice analysis, which is completely unprofessional. It sounded pretty legit to me. The kid sounded legit. Dude sounded legit. She sounded a little scared at times, like for real. They seem to be having a very fluid conversation about what they were seeing. So it lent to the belief of the video, but with how many fakes there are out here lately, but who knows. But this seems to be of ironically poor quality enough. I don't think it was actually faked.
Yeah, and this is actually a really well done video because they turn the phone sideways, because they zoom in and then also zoom back to get the to get the land.
Yeah, we'll go. It's a short video, so we'll go ahead and watch it one more time. There's not a whole lot to this. This is the original TikTok. There's all kinds of other, like, you go on TikTok and you look up Arizona, 2024 UAP sighting. There's like a billion and one people telling you that, just like what we're doing now, telling you their take on it. But
yeah, this is the first time I've seen it, and it's a stationary light in the sky. I'm assuming that the people know what is in that area of the sky, and there's not a hill there. There's not a tower. I guess you can see some motion in the video.
Hold on. Let me back this up to this part. This is the part that when she zooms in on it, like here in this area, it kind of almost looks like some type of drone. Because basically, once you listen to this and you hear the audio, you hear them saying there's multiple of them, and it then becomes obvious that you're seeing lens flare. When she's looking at the beginning of the video, when she's looking at this, she's seeing lens flare on this light source. That's not the you're just seeing it's directly pointed mostly at her, so you're seeing just a lot of the light being bombarded into the camera. So if like it was a different angle, it wouldn't look as bright as that is. So I believe that these are probably just like in Jersey. I think these are drones.
Yeah, it's
once you watch the video a couple of times, the feeling I kind of got from it was that they looked like some type of custom made drone. They seem to be doing something or performing some type of task. They weren't doing anything physics defying. They didn't like zip away at any point. They didn't hop back and forth across the screen. They didn't break off and do weird stuff. It honestly just looks like something of current technology that we just can't really identify within the range that we want to. But when you looked at the when she zoomed in on the second one, where is it? There, right here. I'm gonna go ahead and play it from the beginning. Oh my god, bro! See, it's like the distortions almost feel like you're seeing something moving, and that's what's causing the distortion in the film, and that it can't quite grab what's there because of how dark it is. So instead of getting digital information like a picture, you're getting a blur. So because of the digital zoom on these cameras.
Yeah, it could also be the motion of the camera itself.
That's true also. But either way, it almost seems like there might be something there. I mean, this is me looking at it over and over again. Like I said, completely an unprofessional look at things, so.
Yeah. The folks' voice and their reaction would probably be the most convincing or interesting aspect to me, because you would think if folks live in that area, they know the flight patterns, and they're not going to start freaking out when they see a line of jets coming towards them, because that's kind of what a line of jets coming towards you looks like. They're stationary in the sky, and they don't move, and then they dim out, or they disappear when they land. So like if you're in Jersey looking east up over the New York airspace, you will see lines of lights just hanging there in the sky, and those are the airliners that are all following the instrument landing approaches into the active runways at the airports. So you can get lights that hang in the sky that are an airplane, but they're not going to hang for longer than the airplane is approaching the airport to land. Yeah. So yeah, it's a head scratcher.
So the final conclusion of the hypersonic seagull guy was that they were basically, because this city's nestled in a small valley, that they were lights from cars, which, depending on how long the lights lasted, I could see. But when you look at the second object that they've zoomed in on, there's obviously something there.
Yeah, and if it was a ground-based object, and that's what he's hypothesizing, that it's the lights of a car filmed from lower, during the daytime, that would be really apparent, because you would see a mountain, or you would see wherever those cars were driving during the day. So for people to freak out over something and they knew a mountain was there, then doesn't seem too plausible. The other thing that we should note, TikTok is monetized. So you get paid based on how many people watch your videos. Click. Yeah. So there is a huge incentive for people to put out things that they know exactly what it is. It's, they threw the flashlight in the air and then they videotaped it. But if it gets clicks, why not say it's something exotic or make a otherworldly claim?
And just a little small segue, since you just said that, make sure you like and subscribe us, make some comments in the and also, if you have any serious questions about what any of these things that we're talking about, please put them in there. And I want to take a moment and say, hey, thanks for the shout out, Syndicate. Yep, good to be back. Ben did a great job last week with the UAPX special. That was one that I really wanted to be a part of. Obviously, being one of the founders of UAPX, but man, I was so sick. So it's good to be back in the saddle, and good to be back here to spread joy and love. And also, good evening to you, Pincer. And feel free, anybody that has any comments, questions, even if they're off topic, I won't necessarily answer them, but feel free to put them in the chat. But if you do have a serious question, make sure they're all in capitals, so it's much easier just to pick it out real quick. Well, especially while we're getting into our conversations. So back to our conversation. So like I said, after I watched this thing over and over again, I kind of feel like they were more like commercial style aircraft, either a large, either some type of helicopter or some type of drone. You can't really tell. It's hard to tell size because of the distance. When you're looking at it over the houses, it seems to be a pretty large object. It seems almost like a helicopter of some type, just like when you see some of the ones from Jersey. So, but so you'll have to definitely review that a little bit more. You want to watch it one more time?
Yeah, it should. Let's move on. We've got a lot of things to talk about tonight.
Roger that. All right, so we'll be done with that one then. So the next one that I wanted to look at was, of course, the infamous Jersey drones, and I know there's a lot of different videos and everything like that. So I just grabbed one that I found. I don't even know if this is the one, but I generally just kind of peruse that because I don't have a whole big, huge social media profile anymore. So if it's not on X, or I don't happen to see it on Facebook as I'm just checking on my family members, I don't really see it in social media. So, and since I don't have cable, and I only watch the news when there's bad weather, a lot gets past me.
That's a good point, Gary. So anyone who's watching and anyone who stumbles across a video that you're interested in getting our take on it, send it along or tag us on X or email us. We'd love to take a look. And
yeah, if you got something interesting, I mean, be forewarned though. I do tend to be a bit honest about it, my opinions on things. So, if you think you got the golden goose and I don't hate me.
That's why we
All right.
love you, Gary.
Wow. Love and hate are in such a close place. All right, this one is. All right, so this is one of the main videos that I found for the videos for Over New Jersey. We'll go ahead and watch it. It's not a very. This to me is obviously, at least in my opinion.
This is a video of the Morris County drones with characteristic triangle
Or some
lights
type of
in
helicopter.
the back or underneath.
It's not doing anything crazy. Now this one looks like a drone. So he's got a cutaway to a different one. That looks just like a straight up drone, like a DJI drone. So most of the videos that I did see a couple other videos too, but they all seem to be either helicopters or drones to me. I mean,
or jets. I've saw so many claimed drone videos coming out of Jersey.
Broke up a little bit there.
Yeah, I have my computer hardwired, so I don't know why it does that.
Because life.
Because yes, I'll say because it's not a Mac. If I was using my Mac, it probably would be just fine. But yeah, so a lot of the videos that I've seen coming out of Jersey have been completely obvious jets, along with jet noise. Yes, they have different lighting characteristics when you're in your landing configuration. So you'll have your landing lights on, you'll have strobe lights on. You basically light yourself up as much as you can when you're getting into the airport environment. So I've seen so many videos of people claiming this drone flew right over their house, and it was a Cessna Citation BizJet, or another one that did look without sound kind of interesting. But then when you turn up the sound, you hear helicopter blades, and then you can obviously see, I think it was a Eurocopter. So many of these things are being misidentified as drones that are actually conventional helicopters and aircraft.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think the stuff over Jersey has just been blown out of proportion. Now, I did have I kind of dismissed it once I saw that most of them looked like conventional style aircrafts or drones of some type or another. Nothing like off world. Nothing's doing hard rights at 4Gs or anything like that. I kind of dismissed the rest of it, but then I got a call from my one of my cousins, Dan, today, and he's one of those really to the point guys. Who just starts talking. So, what do you think about these drones over New Jersey? What's your opinion? And I'm like, well, it's good to hear from you, Dan. I had to go because I had my headset. I had to go pick up my phone and just see who I was talking to. I'm like, all right, it's Dan. All right, that makes sense. And so, he made the point that what if the government's being kind of, I mean, they're not really being hush hush on it, but they're not really talking about like what they are or what they're doing. They just tell you, don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. That's basically what they're saying. They're not this, they're not that, they're not anything you're worried about. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much typical playbook. They're going to say that regardless. I mean, honest to me, that's just a bullshit statement. Anytime I hear it, doesn't matter what the situation is. That's we need to buy time statement is what it is. And so he proposed, what if they are performing some type of function over that area, some type of function, like as in searching for some type of radioactive isotopes, like something of a dirty nature may have been brought into that area, which is pretty disconcerting. And I hope that that's not true, but it also brought a level of realism to the topic of the New Jersey, because of such prevalency of, I mean, there's so much stuff flying in the Jersey air right now that people are worried about what's going on. So you still have to, it may not be UFOs or real UAPs or something that we're all, there's no little green men in this one, but it's still have to take what these people are seeing serious, and the fact that the government's responses have been so mute and unintelligible, there, when they start, because that's something that they definitely wouldn't want the public to know about, or at least immediately, until the situation's been resolved. So I really hope that that's not the case, but if it is, well, my heart goes out to all you guys in the Northwest or the Northeast.
Lucky I'm out in the woods.
Yeah, roger that.
Yeah. So there is something interesting. So this is called ForeFlight. I'll try and get it in focus. So this is an aviation application used for navigation. Every pilot has an iPad, and it replaces our paper charts. It replaces everything. So these red circles are temporary flight restrictions. The little one is over Trump's golf course in Bedminster, and this one is over Picatinny Arsenal. In both of those are Jersey. So if I zoom out, you might be able to see. So this is Long Island, the Long Island Sound. This is the New York airspace. That blue dot that's me right now up in Connecticut. So the TFRs over Trump's golf course and Picatinny Arsenal just showed up when the drone flap began. So those are those are not permanent TFRs. I fly in that area all the time, and I would know if those TFRs were always active. And the fact that there's a TFR over Picatinny Arsenal, it's not over any of the military bases in that area. That strikes me as a little odd. Now, it's only a surface to 1,000-foot TFR, so any airplane can fly as long as you're higher than 1,000 feet. But usually 1,000-foot TFR is really to prevent drones, because drones are required to maintain at least 400 feet and are not allowed to fly into a TFR. So that's kind of interesting and kind of supports there being something real happening there. And while I do say that most of the videos that I've seen are very, very prosaic, not even drones, they're mostly airplanes and helicopters, people are seeing things. People who know enough to know that they're seeing a drone have been seeing them. And there's been observations that say that they've maintained flight for many hours, like overnight, which is the only thing that most drones, that even your hobbyist or even more professional drones, they're not going to have a loiter time in hover of hour upon hour. That's just, the energy requirements are way too high.
Yeah. So, but if it's if it's a helicopter or something like that, if it has enough fuel, it could stay in the air for a couple hours. So
yeah, three or four, maybe 3 or 4 hours. And hover in a helicopter, you're burning twice, or I'm not going to put a number to it because I'm not a helicopter pilot, but in a hover, it's the most energy intensive phase of flight. So for something to hover for, I heard reports of these drones being there all night. So either they had some sort of a rotation where one blinks out its light and another one takes its place in the same station. that's odd. The persistence, and then the claims that they are coming from the ocean is also interesting. But that I could also potentially explain because you have all the airliners stacked up on approach into JFK, LaGuardia, Newark, Teterboro, and then all the smaller airports around those, the big New York and Jersey Class B airports, big airports.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, the other thing that you got to remember, you got LOS for the curvature of the Earth too. You know, of course, you're only going to be able to see so far, and then as soon as the curvature is too much, you won't be able to see the object anymore. So they could go out. They could literally go out to sea, and then literally turn around and come back and land somewhere. You know, so it's not necessarily a situation. All they have to do is get out of eyesight. So, I mean,
so that was an interesting hypothesis that it's mundane, but mundane and being kept under wraps because they don't want to
because
alarm.
of a serious reason. But it also could just be a threat to Trump. It could be because it could be somebody doing something against Trump himself, because like he seems to be one of these no-fly zones that popped up right over Trump's golf course. So and it may not be directed at Trump, it may be directed at somebody that's using his golf course. His golf course is a pretty prestigious golf course, so who knows what celebrity or what person is using that golf course. So all kinds of speculation there. Sorry, I'm trying to get into a good spot and get comfy.
It's all a ruse to try and bust out the diddler. What's his name?
Yeah, right.
Yep. Before he can commit suicide.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So other than I thought of a few different explanations of the New Jersey starting at prosaic like that. That's a pretty interesting and scary hypothesis, but potentially could explain it. It could be commercial folks who are designing these drones and testing them in a populated area, just for whatever reason they would do that. It could be, now there's also been this rumor, which I don't see how it could be, but saying that it's an Iranian mothership that is launching these drones, which I find that laughable.
They're still having a hard time producing enough missiles to shoot across their own borders. Never mind coming all the way over here. No, we don't have to worry about Iran over here.
No, I don't think we do. Iran's a paper tiger on its last legs. Like any day, I'm hoping to wake up and see the people have torn down their despotic regime and Iran is free again. That would be great news. But
you should see pictures from Iran before Iran. Before they went to just a state-controlled society. It was just like people looked happy, women were happy, children were playing everywhere, people were productive, there wasn't, mass murder or
Yep. Women could show their hair, they could wear a bikini and not get beaten to death on the streets by government thugs. Yeah.
Well, Iran was one of the, it was a tourist destination before all of that.
Yep. And Beirut, like all these places that have been destroyed by Islamists. But we digress. We're talking about UAPs tonight, Gary.
Sorry. one of my vices is a taro flavored boba.
Nice.
But we can't get too political. We got to keep the UAP. Both of us are too hardcore in those arenas.
Yeah, I thought that made it all the way up to the Pentagon briefing that the Pentagon spokeswoman said no, there is categorically no Iranian ship. I'm not saying I believe a single word that comes from the government, either the White House briefings or the Pentagon briefings, but I believe them when they say it's not Iran, unless Iran has exotic technology. I mean, that's another big wild card here is if the lore is true, there are multiple countries that have reverse engineered or recovered things, and
I don't think Iran could afford it, though. Honestly,
I don't think so either. And they would use it to attack Israel. They would.
yeah, and they're so single-minded in the way that they do things, and it just not saying that they're not able to be deceitful or underhanded, which they absolutely can be, like any country. But they honestly, if you saw the kind of fleet they had, yeah, it's kind of like getting upset, or it's kind of like getting scared when if Canada said we're going to invade you via our navy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? When I'll go ahead and mark it on my calendar so we can come watch the sinkings.
Well, yeah, we did already sink the Iranian Navy once, and we did it proportionally. If anyone wants a laugh, look up the proportional response to Iranian Navy, and you'll see how proportional we were when I think they threatened us or shot at something. Yeah, it wasn't a good idea. I think we sunk like everything.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided, which I don't think people outside the United States quite understand the sheer amount of equipment we have. Even leaving all that equipment in Afghanistan, which still, oh God, it hurts every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's like a pin drop of our equipment. It's like it's like we just, there you go, have a little bit of blood. It's like nothing compared to what I mean. You put just our Navy versus the world's Navy, you would have to take the entire world, and they would not be as big as our Navy is. Just our Navy.
Yep.
So it's immeasurable. So even with the softies in charge right now, they couldn't lose a war at the moment. I mean, don't get me wrong, they could severely cripple us and cause a lot of casualties, but they wouldn't lose. At least not with firepower.
Yeah. So not Iran. Actually, the Pentagon spokeswoman and the White House spokeswoman both came out and said that the drones are not a foreign power. So they've conclusively said both that there's not a foreign actor. They've also said that they are not the United States military. Now, they said that when asked if they could be American drones, the response was they are not the U.S. military. So that's
a tricky answer. That means that they're
yes.
U.S. military subcontractors.
Exactly. So very well.
That sounds like a subcontractor answer all the way.
Yeah. It's not the United States military. It's Blackwater,
Right.
or whoever. And like the thing that concerns me is airborne dispersal of some sort of pathogen. Like that's, if we have a drone can, even a hobbyist drone can make it a long distance. And if you had something very bad and you wanted to disperse it, that would be the way to disperse it, targeted.
Much easier to put it in a water table.
Well, that's not targeted. But if you
trying for mass casualties, you don't have to be targeted, and that would drink water supply, like a reservoir, especially right there in Massachusetts. They got the main reservoir for most of New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all in one spot. Bam. Yeah. I used to live right near it. We used to swim in it. Matter of fact, I used to piss in it and say, "Aha, New Yorkers." But if you got caught peeing in it, you'd be in trouble. But there's a long way from there to New York, so yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, I fly over those reservoirs and they're gorgeous because there's no houses around them. That's how you
No.
can tell a reservoir. It's
Yeah.
like you can't buy waterfront property on a reservoir.
No, you can't.
Yeah, and recently they've been like ridiculously low. You fly over them and it's like canyon walls, 60 feet high. But I digress. So the New Jersey, I mean,
I'm going to call bunk on most of New Jersey stuff. I mean, we can go back and forth of what we think they are all night long, but when we come down to it, until we can get a better picture of what's actually flying around, they look like airplanes, helicopters, and drones to me. So
yeah. What about population shaping in terms of normalizing or stigmatizing or trying to shape the narrative? What are your thoughts around that?
definitely could be an aspect of it too, though. Saturate the entire world with a bunch of UAPs that can be explained relatively easy, and then turn around and say, look, folks, nothing to see here. Exactly what Project Blue Book did. And honestly, exactly what Arrow did to begin with. I mean, when they had Kirkpatrick in charge, which I have yet to see anything, I see some positive things going with the new guy, but not enough. Not enough for me to really worry about it. So until I see something more transparent with Arrow, I literally from this day forward will always assume that it's just Blue Book 2.0. It's there just to keep the lid on it, just like they have for the last 75 years. So that's my full opinion of what's actually going on in as a total. With this stuff over Jersey seems to have some type of purpose. Just this with the no fly zones popping up, and then all of this flight travel just over this area in New Jersey. It's as you know, it's sus.
Yeah, it is definitely sus. You're muted, Gary.
I know. I was speaking to my daughter, my beautiful, beautiful little girl. But all right, so why don't we go ahead and move on to the next one? So there actually was a sighting in Florida also. That was recent, that was posted, that I happened to run by. I figured we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Let me pull that one up. Let me see which one it is first before. Oh, yeah, this is the one you were talking about that you had seen. I don't think you had. Think. All right, screen share. All right, there we go. So with this one, it's a grainy footage of something that could be cool or may not be. It's just a bad video, but this was filmed in Florida. Not sure if they go. We'll look and see if the poster says where. But all right, here we go.
What the hell is that?
So basically, here we got some type of object with some type of looks like some type of propulsion. Propulsion looks separate from the actual object itself.
I have no idea what this
So
is.
it's an odd one because it's basically
Airplane.
I don't really see any wings, but like I said, it's a grainy film.
Wow.
It's almost over. There we go. But it's basically the nuts and bolts of it all. It kind of reminds me of like a bug riding on a bubble across water. That's what it reminds me of. Like a pill bug. Like if it was holding on to some water and running across.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call this the pill bug UAP.
It's interesting. I mean, it's very luminous, so that's different than you'd expect to see.
I have no idea what this is.
an airplane. The sun is very low, so the light on the bottom could be the reflection of the sun if it was a very reflective surface, like
So
silver. But it's not moving in it's not moving like I would expect an airplane to move. It's moving up and down. It's moving more organically than you would expect to see an airplane. Airplanes generally go in a straight line and
more
have
more
smooth curves.
more like a recreational aircraft, like somebody playing or something like that.
Yeah. It's got that like up and down, like maybe I don't know what the hell I'm doing in this thing. So people like to fly powered paragliders. Now this looks like it's going way too fast for like a powered
yeah.
paraglider.
I was thinking more like a World War II, a fighter plane of some type. Some of the ones that were all chromed over so that they would be harder to see.
Or helicopter. I don't hear anything either.
You'd probably hear it, but maybe not if it's
at this distance,
7-8 miles away.
It looks like it's flying at the deck. There looks like about 6,000 feet, and
it's hard.
It's pretty far away.
It's far. It's definitely far, and the video ends without it doing anything, or it just continues on its way up the shoreline.
All right. Really, that's it. This is just looping.
Yeah. I mean, that looks like a lot of the convincing orb type videos that I've seen. Its motion looks sort of organic. So, but I don't think it was a bird. So that's I mean, that could be a balloon. It could be a balloon. The winds aloft can move so much faster.
True, but I mean that balloon would have had to been cooking. That guy in that balloon would be like this, like, oh my God, what do I do? I mean, that would be that would be the most traumatic event that ever happened to that balloonist.
Well, I don't mean a hot air balloon. Air balloon. No, I don't think that. I mean,
I was about to say
a Mylar balloon. A Mylar balloon that's closer,
like a weather balloon that was just like cut, and they just don't have it anymore.
Yeah, or just your normal Mylar party balloon, just closer. So sometimes it can play a trick of your eyes.
But at that distance, though, it'd have to be a damn big Mylar balloon.
Or it's closer than we think.
Well,
so I've encountered Mylar balloons while flying. And
since you actually fly, I'm going to go ahead and defer that to you.
Well, I got really excited the first time I saw one because I saw a silver disc and it was moving and it was like hovering. And then I saw its motion. So at first I thought it was way far away in a shiny silver disc, but no, it was not that far away. And only when I saw its relative motion, which, the airplane's going 130 knots, the balloon's just moving with the wind, and it makes the motion look really, really weird.
Same kind of things happen on the ocean too. Like, so when you're looking at long distance on a very flat ocean out like in the middle of nowhere, and also when you're out in the desert. I used to play out in Death Valley all the time. It's like you get the perfect conditions. You get that mirage effect where you think you're seeing something, or it's closer or farther away than you think. And I mean, optical illusions based off of your eyes all day long. So, but all right, looks like Mike France is in the house. Hey, thanks for popping in, guy. Appreciate the support. He has a question. Why does Arrow not comment on the New Jersey cases? Is this in their jurisdiction? Is it because Arrow is only comments on historic cases? I would have thought this would have been right in their mission.
Yeah, so that's good questions. Arrow, I don't know of them commenting on anything contemporary. So their mission is to review the data that is sourced from within the government. So they're primarily looking at government-based reporting, if they're actually looking. It would be a good question. There have been multiple Congress people who have gone on news to talk about the New Jersey sightings, have requested help from the federal government. The federal government has said it's not us and it's not a threat. Well, okay. But that's a good question.
Well, I mean, did they just go on record saying that they're going to start doing active investigations?
Once they come up with their gimbal or their system.
Well, if they're not currently doing active investigations, then the reason why they wouldn't really comment on this is because they would not comment on anything that they haven't gotten the formal reports for. So if there's no formal report reported to any government or federal agency and then sent to them, they would have no comment nor jurisdiction on this. This would be strictly either the local police, the local whoever's in charge of the airspace there, or so whoever's in charge of that airspace, which might be the National Guard, might be I don't know who exactly would be responsible.
New York Center. That's New York Center.
All right, so that would be who would have to comment on something like this, because you got to remember, a UAP, before it's a UFO or anything alien or anything interesting like what we want to talk about, it is a airborne unknown aircraft possible threat. So in that situation, the first people that would have to talk about it are whoever the officials are responsible for that airspace. And then from there, all the reports get filed, and then that filters down to all the other cretins and goons in the government. And then that's when you get all this stupid chatter from the White House. Oh, it's this and that, or based off of blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. It all sounds like the same bullshit to me whenever they start talking. Mm-hmm. Like, unless I hear something new, I'm literally just like when you're perusing through something you really don't want to read. That's how I listen to that stuff. It's stuff I don't even want to listen to, but until I hear something unique, it's all just garbled word salad bullshit to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was just taking a quick look at the sectional. So there's McGuire Field, Joint Base McGuire Dixie or Dix Lake, Lakehurst. That's I think Air National Guard, I believe. And right next to that, there is Lakehurst, Maxfield, and then there's restricted area. This is right off the coast of inland from Tom's River, which is one of the places where there have been sightings. So most of Jersey, the air traffic is handled by New York Center. McGuire Air Force Base also does a lot of civilian air traffic control. So those are the entities that I would talk to if I wanted to see if they knew anything. Now, I have heard, though, that these drones, they are not being detected by radar. So that would both be completely understandable because they're small. If they're smaller drones, they're going to actually be filtered out as clutter because you don't want to see seagulls and hawks on your radar screen. They also might be filtering out slow movers. Probably not, though, because of all the helicopters in that region. They won't turn that gating on. But so far from what I've heard, these drones they're both not being detected, and then any attempts to bring them down, which the only thing I can think that they might have tried are those microwave cannons. You see them in videos. They look really cyberpunk looking rifle, just with a really long barrel and sometimes fins coming out the barrel. And all those they're microwave to disrupt the
systems about the ones that everybody claims to be EMP canyons.
Yeah. It's not it's similar. It's an electromagnetic overwhelming system where you're just trying to either block them from receiving their controlling signal, or in the more powerful cases, you could actually induce faults within their systems. But you're not going to even probably get authorization to use something like that over populated areas, because the rules around using any sort of force against an aircraft is like, it's a federal offense to shoot to shoot at a drone. Like, you will go to federal prison if you take a pot shot at a drone. There's a guy in Florida who found
Yeah,
that
I
out.
just saw that. He shot down a Walmart drone.
Yeah.
I was like rooting for him. I'm like, yeah. Thinking to myself, I guess I thought, man, I'll get my Rock Island VR60 out. You can light that thing up.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people are thinking that, especially in Jersey. And
nobody's gonna come over here in the swamp and ask us if we shot something down. I promise that. Over here in the swamp, it'll just be, well, we lost another one over the swamp. We're just gonna stop sending them over there.
Well,
don't fly shit over my house. Not within rifle range. It's not gonna be a good situation.
So, but the authorities who have those kind of anti-drone systems, they likely couldn't even get authorization to use those, because if you can't conclusively say, I knocked this drone and it falls down, it's not going to hurt someone. There's a lot of care about shooting at things officially and endangering the civilian.
The only thing I'm concerned about is where I hit it, so I can make sure I can salvage as many parts as I can.
Well, then you got to be a really good shot.
Well, hopefully, Mike, that'll explain a little bit of at least why you're not going to hear anything from Arrow right away with any of these types of things, especially in the States. They're waiting for reports to research. They're not doing active investigations yet. It'll be interesting because I have a feeling that they're probably going to not do the investigations themselves. I think they're going to end up outsourcing it to subcontracted groups, some people like Soul or UAPX honestly, they can kick rocks. I don't think UAPX would take a contract from them, but I don't know. Maybe it depends on the situation, whether it's classified or not. Because if they could guarantee an unclassified and a completely transparent investigation, then I think we would be on board with it. But I think that they'll probably end up tapping something like Galileo or Soul due to the fact that those people don't have a problem signing on that dotted line for classifications and keep things classified. And I understand the need for secrecy in certain situations, but the fact that this technology is running around rampant without any type of checks or balances is the most thing that concerns me. So what concerns me more is transparency and to do legitimate civilian research on UAP to track down and find out what all of the phenomenon is, regardless of how crazy it is, and turn it down into a nuts and bolts situation. So good luck to them. And honestly, I got nothing for Arrow.
Nope. Yeah. No faith.
No faith at all. So, all right. So let's go ahead and move on because we are running a little behind here. We got one more video to watch, and this is a video that's supposedly of a couple of crafts that were filmed over Rendlesham, which I figure we'll end on this one since this one kind of made me chuckle a little bit. And this is the one I showed you right before the show. All right, let's start this from the beginning. I gotta start it before.
Now I think the lights do give it the appearance like it's a triangle.
All right, so
but,
I'm gonna mute
so
this.
like
I don't really. You can see his narration, so I don't want to. You can't tell the direction of this craft. It does appear to have standard running lights, and then it depends on which direction this craft is moving. If it wasn't so pitch black, we could tell which way it was moving, there was some type of point of reference, like a star, or it was, like I said, it wasn't so dark out. But supposedly this is filmed over Rendlesham Forest.
Yeah. If it's moving from right to left, then those are entirely conventional nav lights. You've got your green on your right wing, you've got your red on your left wing, and then you've got a positional beacon on your tail, which is usually just like a white light. So this is what I would expect to see if I was looking at an airplane that's flying from right to left, and the right navigational positional light, the green light, is obstructed, because you're not supposed to be able to see that light except for within a certain cone, because what those lights, the red and the green, are for is so other aircraft know what the orientation of another craft is, so that you can apply your right of way rules and take the correct course of action as a pilot, either turning or not turning if you have right of way. So I don't know. Now, if they said it was going from left to right, and then you've got a white light in the front and a red on the right, that would be entirely unconventional. It would actually be contrary to the mandated positional lights. Gary, I think you're muted. Yeah, still muted.
Now I'm unmuted. But
Excellent.
for some reason, the USB driver on this this microphone every once in a while will just drop out. That's what happens when you're using cheap stuff.
Yeah, my connection drops, your mic drops. We need some sponsorships.
Heck yeah. But so this particular part of the video seemed very mundane to me. Not enough information for me to be conclusive or to say that this is anything other than just interesting. Like I said, if we could tell direction, that would give us something. It's definitely interesting. It's it's like I think I rank this at cool story, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's also there's a little bit of film of a secondary aircraft, a wholly different aircraft after this, which to me, well, I'll say what I think it is after we look at it. So it'll immediately switch over to it. Did it not do it, or is this a different film than what I was thinking of? Yeah. All right. No, I was thinking of a different film. I think I was thinking of the which one's that one that no. Oh, well, I must have gotten rid of that other film that I had. But there was a secondary aircraft in one of the films I watched. It just straight up looked like a DJI drone. It did. I mean, it just, there was no mistaking it. It was 100% some type of drone. But everybody's got to have something to talk about, I guess. I mean, I threw it in here for that too. So.
Yeah. Now, did you see in Manchester, there was also over Manchester Airport, there's a video, both one from within the cockpit of a jet and then also a still or two still pictures. The video shows a black dot in the sky below the clouds, so slightly anomalous there. It goes in and out of focus because the pilot's filming it through a windshield that has a lot of water droplets on it. And then there's photos of a sphere either on the ground or floating a few inches off the ground. Those are very interesting pictures, but what I got from those was it was just a video and just a few pictures from seemingly a single source. Now, if the video actually showed a line of jets lining up for takeoff, the takeoff queue. If one saw this like a literal orb, maybe a meter or a meter and a half, sitting on the ground, and it looks pretty exotic in the picture, I would have thought there would have been more images and more.
Yeah. I see what you're talking about with these. let's see. I think the airport itself debunked this.
Yeah. And I don't know. It got a lot of traction, but the thing that it made me think is if you can plant a story or you can fly a few drones and get people who don't normally look up, get them looking up, it's not too hard to stir up. It's a hornet's nest or a big conversation. It's not too difficult, especially with how social media works. So I've had a lot
This
of
one,
exactly that one.
yeah.
I get the question of with all these this drone flap, what are they distracting us from? What is the big story?
Well, there's going to be a natural thing for that though too, because remember there was any time that UAPs, UFOs, unknown aircraft of any type start being proliferated in the media, or if they're starting to be taken serious, like with the congressional hearings and stuff like that, there's always kind of like a secondary effect to those things, and it seems like every single time that there was any type of serious conclusion to things, that there was also a buildup in the civilian world of people seeing it, because I think people are looking up more during these times. They're seeing things that they don't normally see, because we, as normal humans, we get up, we hate waking up, we go grab something to turbocharge the neural synaptic responses in our brain, i.e. coffee or other stimulants, and then we move on our day. We look ahead. We look at we're like this. My to-do list today is da 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 da. What do I got to do? What time is it? Where do I got to be? What do I got to do? So there's not a lot of people looking up. But all of a sudden, you start telling them that UAPs are real. Then there's reverse engineered technology, and Congress starts talking about it. People are gonna start going, I wonder. And even if it's only 2 or 3 times more a day that they look up, that's a whole lot more than it was prior to that. And then all of a sudden you're going to get more people seeing things that they haven't normally seen. It's like the same phenomenon as say, like, I never see blue cars ever. And then for the next week, I see nothing but blue cars.
Yeah. Yeah, and for the folks in Jersey, that airspace is the busiest airspace in the world. You fly over it at night, and it's just fireflies. It looks like fireflies, which are helicopters, jets on landing approach, small planes. There's so much in the sky over Jersey that I could see there being a real story, but then it just gets blown out of proportion. And maybe that was the goal. There have been some interesting news that has come out in the last week or so that I could definitely see the government not wanting to be the top headline. I mean, COVID being
you mean World War III?
But that's an old story, and we're not there yet. So, I mean, this week we've got.
You say we're not there yet.
Well,
it seems like they're doing everything but freaking pissing on the fire to try to get this thing going.
Well, no, I mean, we've been in World War III already now for a while, so it's not a new story. But
no, it started in Crimea, and people don't realize it.
2013, yeah, or maybe even, I mean, there's.
Well, that was the match. It's like the murder that started World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew that's. Oh yeah, World War One, and sorry, brain farting. Nope. But nobody realized at the time what that was going to cause worldwide. It was a cascading effect. The demilitarization of the U.S. has caused a global cascade. Without us providing a strong, firm, absolute military presence within the world, it basically says you can just do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
When you got an administration that's like, don't do that again, I'll put sanctions on you. but I won't enforce them. And I'll give you money. I'll give you money too. We'll give you money. Just please stop.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't pose a very strong message to people, places like Iran, North Korea. It's like they live their life off of their principles, whether they're religious, whether they're greed, or whether they're just horrible people. It just they don't care about human life. They don't care about the way things are in the West. They resent the way that we live, period.
Oh, they don't respect us. They only respect strength.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they may not believe what we believe, but they also knew that, well, we're not going to piss them off.
Mhm.
But, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we could go back to 9/11 being this spark that started World War III, and we've been in hot World War III since 2001.
Well, honestly, you need to go back further. Desert Storm.
Sure.
Actually, if you really want to go back, it's probably right when we gave the first gun to the Afghanis to fight the Russians.
Mm-hmm. That's yeah.
Very
true.
It's all a big line of dominoes,
Mm-hmm.
and it all begins and ends with us. And I mean, that's the truth of it, and that's why we had to be such a pillar. That's why we had to be that massive, immovable object in the way of anybody that wanted to do shitty things in the world.
Hopefully we're going back there, because shitty things are happening in the world that shouldn't have happened, and shouldn't continue to be happening. But
well, for all those that may feel like I'm a warmonger, or that I just don't care, understand that it's because I care too much. Because there's a couple of things in the world that are just truths, whether you're talking about single persons or whole countries. Spare the rod, spoil the child is one thing that comes to mind. If you don't have discipline, you don't have a set of core values, things are going to go horribly awry. They're going to go horribly wrong. There's a place for everything. We need liberal policies to help the people. Healthcare. I don't have a problem with liberal healthcare, but as long as it is funded in a responsible way. If it can be funded without going into a deficit, absolutely, 100% for it. I'm not paying extra taxes for it, though. So figure it out. Because we had a perfectly decent way of handling our healthcare, and then it just exploded because of lobbyists, because of special interests, because all you have to do is pay a congressman and you're going to get your drug through. You're going to the FDA, the Congress. I mean, these are all their actual problems. It's so gotten so crappy at this point. All I'm saying is you can't fight the government, but you sure the fuck don't need them. So make sure you're self-reliant. Anyhow, moving on, because we're gonna I gotta get off that soapbox, otherwise we're gonna get more than demonetized.
Yeah. So taking that thought, if this is a distraction from something else, yeah, World War III is the big one. The ones that I thought were the fact that I forgot which report, congressional report came out, and now almost conclusively points to a lab leak as the origin for COVID. And then also there's an investigation in the CIA that it looks like the CIA analysts who had identified 6 of the 7 analysts who had identified the Wuhan lab as the source of COVID were paid off by the CIA to change their story. And this is a whistleblower complaint, so you can see information about it. Yeah, in
the CIA would never do that.
Congressional record that there is a claim that basically our government paid off the CIA to support the narrative that this was it jumped from animals in the wet market to humans, and it was just a novel mutation rather than
allegedly. Remember, everything we're saying is
allegedly, rather than the fact that it started in an area that also had a laboratory that was researching increasing
the exact thing
of that exact virus, making it more infectious and dangerous. And that's where, so I don't need a tinfoil hat, I don't think, to say that. It sounds pretty plausible, and those are things that I might want to
shiny head's beautiful. Keep that tinfoil hat off there. You don't need it. But you know, whether it's that or it could be any number of things. I mean, I don't think anybody's would be surprised if the CIA was bought off. The same people that literally run a drug cartel, that same people that drugged people with LSD, the same people that literally have experimented on the syphilis experiments. They got the you got an endless list of human atrocities. I don't understand why the CIA hasn't been shut down already.
Yeah, it's a crime against humanity.
Yeah, it's kind of like that country song, "Friends in Low Places." I got friends in low places. That's like the U.S. government's friend in a low place. They'll do the dirty work for us. All we got to do is provide them with some cash.
Yeah. And don't even United Fruit. I mean, if anyone has any misgivings, look at what we did with United Fruit, which is now Chiquita, by the way.
Which was a drug cartel. It was a trafficking.
Well, it just we sent assassins to kill the local populace because they were getting upset about picking fruit for us. So yeah, so United Fruit in collusion with government assets committed atrocities.
Ain't the first time. They've killed whole like just massive amounts of people in the South America.
Exactly. Yep, that's been our dirtiest legacy.
The dirtiest secrets are from the 80s in the South America, 70s and the 80s. I mean, there was so much dirty stuff going on with the CIA. I mean, from what I understand, they even had Delta Force down there killing people. So I mean that's all alleged, by the way, because I have zero proof of it. I just stories from old vets. You know, I mean, there's a old timer, a Delta Force guy that told me stories about. He never left South America. He loved it down there. He lived like a king. But the shit that they were doing, you have to have a split mind. You can't look yourself in the mirror after doing that stuff and not have had a split mind about it. And because I mean, luckily this guy is well, he doesn't have any morals at all whatsoever, but that tends to happen with military buddies. You tend to have a mixed bag when it comes to military buddies. You got people that I'd trust them with my life, and that's it. Wouldn't trust them with money, wouldn't trust them with my wife, my children, my family, but I'd trust them with my life. If we were in the shit, I would trust them with my life, and that's it. And every military guy out there understands that statement. But we got one last thing to talk about, and I'm not going to play it because we haven't isolated all the audio and it's kind of long. But there was also the very, very last thing was a flight control recording that Ben had introduced me to. So off the coast of Oregon, there's a recording going around that dictates the fact that a UAP that was flying around, and the pilot was reporting it as it was happening. He's like, it's like a red object. You know, it seems like he said an orb, right? I think he's
A
what he
disc. Yeah,
said. A red disc, and it was going, so many miles out to the coast, and then coming back, and it was just like a red streak. And of course, immediately I thought, oh, the Flash is taking a run over in Oregon. But being real though, it it sounded like a real flight recording. Ben,
It is.
where did you got it from?
Live
It's a
ATC.
real. Okay,
Yes.
so this is an actual real flight recording. Matter of fact, poor Corey is probably going to be pretty famous and probably change his phone number here soon, because the flight controllers were so interested in what this guy had to say, is that one of them actually gave his personal phone number over the air for him to send him the videos that they were taking on the plane of this object. So we know for 100% certain that there's some type of video of these red UAPs up in Oregon, and I'm literally just sitting here waiting. But if we ever get a hold of that video, I did text message that number, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah, so this is what I said. I'm pretty sure it probably the worst possible way. I was like, so and so, I won't say his name right now because I'm sure there's still at least 10 people that haven't heard it yet. I just came across an audio recording I got from your phone number. I am Gary Voorhees Jr. I also work with UAPX Incorporated. I also run a podcast and primarily talks about UAPs. We will discuss the recording that I got your phone number off tonight at 8. If you'd like to join us, here's the link. So I figured if he still had the number, maybe he might hop into our podcast. But maybe he'll just see this and then decide, okay, well, this guy's not too bad. And yeah, we mean no harm. We just literally just like to talk about this stuff. So
yeah. And that's cool because one of the controllers actually pops on and says, take whatever deviations you need to avoid the UFO. He says it clear as day.
Clear as day.
The pilot and the controller, the first controller, are basically beating around the bush a little. They're not saying what they're thinking. You can tell what they're thinking when they're describing the motion. I think that he's saying it looks like it's going from 50,000 down to 10,000 and back up. Like that's 40,000 feet in seconds. That's nothing really can do that. Maybe our fighters in an extreme climb, but you'd be seeing the afterburners from 100 miles away. And this, from what they're describing, they said it looked like a ping pong ball how it was moving. And then the controller just pops on and says, because when you're given a clearance, you're supposed to follow that clearance. They give you a heading, you fly that heading. You don't turn, you don't go up, you don't go down unless you don't
bebop around unless you specifically told to, like this.
Yeah. So like even if you're flying and there's lots of clouds, you ask for permission to deviate around the clouds because you don't want to get the bumps going through them. So that's why the controller comes on and says, any deviations you need, take them, because he knows that these guys, first of all, the pilots are gonna deviate no matter what. You don't need permission to do whatever you need to keep your plane safe. But I thought that was pretty surprising to hear air traffic control say the word UFO, and because those guys are also federal employees, so they have a strong incentive not to make any waves, not to do anything that could jeopardize their career.
I got a feeling that guy probably got into at least a firm talking to about putting his private number up there.
Yeah. He that already could have happened. He probably got a stern talking to about.
So what's the time frame that this recording happened?
December 7th, I believe.
Oh, so this was pretty recently.
It's this is all part of this maybe global flap, maybe global distraction. I don't know.
Who knows, man? At this point, what's up, what's down, what's left, what's right. Let's just enjoy the ride. But so that was the last of what we had tonight. If Ben, how are you at splicing audio? You think we could splice just the meat and potatoes of that audio? Because that thing's like 44 minutes long.
Yeah, I might be able to.
Shouldn't take too long.
I think
but-
someone might have already done that, though. I wouldn't be surprised if someone
right.
already did that.
Well,
'cause
we'll try.
did-
We'll try to find
Fine.
for next week. We'll try to find a an edited version of it, because
Mhm.
basically the raw tape is like there's a lot of dead air, so you're just waiting for a controller to talk to a pilot and back and forth. And I mean, it honestly it brought me back to the days when I used to have to stand watch on the ship, AWS, air warfare systems, and you just sit there and you just be listening to dead air, waiting for somebody to ask for something. AWS, CIC, what's your status? Oh, up and running, good. Can we get a reload on the CFC computer? So that's, and then you don't hear anything forever. And
Mhm.
then, of course, when you're up in combat, you get to hear the squawking, especially when there's pilots in the air, and that's what it kind of reminded me of. Is when the pilots and the the defense coordinators are all talking back and forth when they're doing their the missions and the doing their training and stuff like that. And of course, during combat, during Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom. So, but hope everybody enjoyed tonight. I did. Thank you for the conversation, Ben. It's always a privilege and an honor, and luckily he comes with the tedious facts, and I come with commentary. So this was tonight's edition of Space Oddities. So good night, everybody, and God bless.
Good night, Gary. Good night, everyone.